Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Rahmat-i-Alam by SYED Sulaiman Nadvi. Muhammad, peace be upon him. Mercy for the universe. Translated by A.Rauf Luther. Chapter 19. Behavior with hypocrites. The hypocrites appeared to be Muslims from their appearance and also their words they spoke to the Muslims. They did not oppose the Muslims outwardly or in the public. Even if they were known to the Prophet of their intrigues and hypocrisy, the Prophet did not say any word against them, but made the Muslims to remain cautious of them. Also, they were not to be dragged into the enemy camp to increase the strength of the enemies. He gave them a good and merciful treatment and did not question about their anti-Muslim secret activities. It was merely for the reason that they might perhaps embrace Islam at any stage. Once a Muslim had sought the permission of the Prophet to kill some of the hypocrites, and he replied, "No, do you want the people to say that I got my own people killed?" Then the Prophet said, "Whose recites kalma, there is no divinity except the divinity of God, and Muhammad is God's envoyed prophet. He is reckoned as a Muslim. His inner self is the concern of God." When Abdullah bin Ubay, the chief of the hypocrites, died, the Holy Prophet, on the request of Abdullah's son, gave his own shirt for putting on his body. Many of the Muslims raised their voices against it, but he did not agree to their proposal not to give his shirt for the hypocrite. The Prophet offered his funeral prayer as well. Once the Prophet was riding his ass and was passing through the Mohalla of Banu Haris. On the way, some Muslims, some Jews, and some hypocrites were sitting together. Abdullah bin Ubay was also amongst them. As the ass passed, some dust rose from the ground under the hoofs of the ass. As it passed, Abdullah uttered some words of hatred. "Don't make the dust rise." Without caring for the words, the Prophet greeted the gathering and told them some commandments of God. Abdullah said, "Oh yeah, I don't like it. Even if your words are true, don't tell us anything any further. Speak such things to him who comes to you." Muslims became angry on this, but the Prophet consoled them with his sweet words. The hypocrites knew everything about the Muslims. The Prophet asked the Muslims to beware of them. Secret must be kept concealed from them. Muslims were asked not to rely upon them, nor should they be befriended. This group of hypocrites vanished automatically after the supremacy of Islam in the whole of Arabia. Defending against Makkans. The Makkans were best in wielding the swords, and so every step had to be taken to defend the Muslims from their sway. The Quraysh had withheld the Muslims who were poor and helpless, and they had been kept as prisoners at Makkah. The Muslims of Medina were not allowed to enter Makkah, nor were permitted to perform Hajj or Umrah, although the sanctuary was for all the Arabs and no individual or a clan or tribe had the authority to be its master. In order to bring home to the Makkans, the Prophet planned to brighten their businessmen who used to have their trade through suburbs of Medina and went to Syria. The scouts were deputed by the Prophet in twos or in a group of more than two Muslims. The Prophet's intention was only that the Makkans may come to some understanding and have a pact of agreement that they may be allowed to visit the Kaaba and perform Hajj or Umrah without any restriction. This was the only aim and nothing else. So he had planned for dispatching the scouts to different places to frighten the caravans of Makkah. The Makkans were so obstinate that they did not come to any compromise, and their hatred went on increasing day by day. The Makkans were adamant without fear, but now with vigor. Medina is situated in between Syria and Hijaz, and the Makkans could not change their trade route. They had to pass through that area. The Makkans were adamant and obstinate. The Muslims carried on their planning without fear, but now with vigor. Medina is situated in between Syria and Hijaz, and the Makkans could not change their trade route. They had to pass through that area. The Prophet, fearing that the tribes living in the suburbs may not take the side of the Makkans, went to them for a peace pact. He visited almost all the places nearby and succeeded to have some peace pacts with all of them, such as Junior tribe and Zamara tribe. The Makkans became infuriated to notice that the sphere of the Prophet's activities had developed, and so they thought of giving his mission a death blow. A wealthy person of Makkah named Qars bin Jabir Fahri raided a grazing land of Medina and went away, taking some camels of the Prophet. The Muslims chased him, but he had run away. 3 months after this happening, the Prophet along with 200 Mujahids reached the Madlaj tribe and had a peace pact with them. After a couple of days, in Rajab 2H, the Prophet dispatched 12 Mujahids to Nakhla Valley and gave them a sealed letter to open it after 2 days. On the appointed day, they opened the letter, which stated, "Stay at Nakhla, watch the Quraysh intentions, and then inform me." By chance, some Makkans who had gone to Syria on a business trip were returning home with their merchandise. The Muslims, without the Prophet's permission, attacked the caravan. Amr bin Hazarin was killed and 2 were arrested. The caravan was plundered. The Prophet, on hearing this incident, expressed his displeasure and said, "I did not ask you to do like that. You have inflamed the war." The Prophet returned all the belongings of the caravan to them. The man who died was a friend of some chief of a tribe. The 2 persons who were arrested were the grandsons of another chief. This infuriated the Makkans.